In my last video in this series, I talked about classical liberalism versus social liberalism. In this video, I'll be talking about socialism versus capitalism as economic systems, not as a combination of economic and social matters or some sort of ideology as a whole. There are many types of socialism that have been applied in many nations over the last few centuries, and its origins predate the French Revolution of 1789. Just as the roots of capitalism predate the American Revolution of 1765. These two economic philosophies are boiled down to how wealth is created and then distributed between members of society, and how the money is used by the state to help the collective good of the citizens. Just as a concept of civil liberties can be seen on a spectrum between authority and liberty, so can the concepts of economic freedoms be placed on its own axes. At the left end of the spectrum, socialism, the government owns the means of production, distribution, exchange or trade, the industry and labor, with the goal of making everyone more equal financially. The economy is highly controlled by the state with strict regulations on income and spending, with the goal of eliminating the poor and wealthy classes and preventing a schism between haves and have-nots. There is no free market, it's a fair market. And on the right end of that spectrum is capitalism, where the means of production, distribution, exchange or trade, the industry and labor are owned by the people with the goal of making everyone more free financially. The economy is uncontrolled by the state with no regulations on income or spending, and the goal of allowing people to earn and spend what they will without regulations, with no regard to classes or distribution of wealth, or concern with haves or have-nots. The market is free, not fair. As capitalism is free market economics, socialism is the opposite, which is unfree market economics. In the last couple centuries, we've seen hundreds of governments attempt to balance socialism with capitalism to control the free market in order to make the economies more fair, as well as to either redistribute wealth or create social services to eliminate poverty, sickness and injury, illiteracy, and unskilled labor, among other things. Socialism is also for the good of the group over the individual, whereas capitalism is for the good of the individual over the group. We see that socialism is economic collectivism, whereas capitalism is economic individualism. I'm not making this video to discredit either economic system, just pointing out their differences. The more the state plans the economy, the more regulations they create, the more they control the prices, the more they adjust interest rates, the more the money is printed to cover debt, and the more businesses must do to comply with the will of the state, the less free the market is. The further away from capitalism you go on the economic scale, the closer you get to socialism. In order for this balance to be fiscally successful, this should occur without the people and the state going into debt, and without the population dying en masse due to starvation, civil unrest, and economic mismanagement by the state, or unforeseen and unpredictable economic factors. This has been a balance that's not yet been achieved, and in every iteration so far, there's always a political class who essentially rule above everyone else and keep that power by restricting the rights of those who might challenge that authority. The economic truth is, the more the government controls the economy, the more capital is needed from the people to spend more via taxation to fund the state, as well as to support the population. The more services are needed to offer to more people, the more money is needed. This is why there is wealth redistribution in all socialistic economies. If everyone were taxed at the same flat rate, for example, and let's just say that's 10%, even if there is an economic floor for the financially disabled, at which point those people are not taxed, there would still be a need for more money to fund the welfare state, public education, socialized medicine, etc. On the other end, there's something called crony capitalism, whereby businesses or corporations collude with the government for favoritism, to eliminate competition, to get tax breaks, or for government contracts at exuberant prices for goods or services, say above market value. And just as there can be corruption within the government, there can also be corruption within business, such as cooked books, unfair treatment of employees or contractors, as well as the consumer, as well as unsafe practices, policies, and procedures. There's also no protections for people or businesses that are uncompetitive or hampered in some way. Again, I'm not making moral arguments here, only showing that there are flaws at both extremes. Now, I do plan on making a video on that in the future, but that'll be outside of this little video series on politics. And if you want more information on what I've discussed here, just see the links below in this description. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.